All right, it's time for some unhinged threads. So, the everywhere says, I saw a stage version of the Odyssey a couple of years ago at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and there was one scene that stuck out to me years later. Odysseus says he can hear the siren song. The stage goes dark. Lights come on, and there are a half a dozen women seated in a row of chairs in the middle of the stage. They are all dressed in red, costumes reflecting the classic archetypes of women in theater: a nun, a schoolgirl, a sexy librarian, a burlesque type of outfit, etc. And then all together they start to speak. You are so funny. You are so smart. That's so interesting. Tell me more. I've seen a lot of theater. It remains one of the sharpest, most biting, funniest moments of theater I've ever experienced. And for people that don't know the siren song, what the siren song is, the sirens are singing to the sailors and luring them off of the boat to their death. And so, by these women saying these things, you are so funny, you are so smart, no one really knows what the siren song is, but this is enough to lure these men because it's enough to validate these men. And it's that's what makes this so funny. This person named Centurion gives us this cartoon. This is hilarious, and I'm going to make it bigger. So here we have this older pirate talking to the young lad. He says, Yar, beware of the siren song, lad. 'Tis said to be a melody most sweet to men's ear. And so here we have the siren. This is what she said. Hello, let me get that D. And then the older pirate says, looks like this is the end, lad. Because that was the melody most sweet to his ear. Hello, let me get that D. Please let me know. Did you laugh? I was cracking up when I saw this cartoon. Go ahead and take a screenshot if you need it. Joanna says the play is by Mary Zimmerman, and she's a MacArthur Fellowship genius and a Tony Award winner. So just in case you didn't know, now you know. Surprisingly Athletic says, this sounds a lot like men talking to their AI girlfriends. I'm sorry, they're sirens. And then we got KDZ Photography saying, this reminds me of a Margaret Atwood's poem, Siren Song. This is the one song everyone would like to learn, the song that is irresistible, the song that forces men to leap overboard in squadrons, even though they see the beached skulls. The song nobody knows because anyone who has heard it is dead and the others can't remember. Shall I tell you the secret? And if I do, will you get me out of this bird suit? I don't enjoy it here, squatting on this land, looking picturesque and mythical. With these two feathery maniacs, I don't enjoy singing this trio, fatal and valuable. I will tell the secret to you and only to you. Come closer. This song is a cry for help. Help me. Only you can. You are unique at last. Alas, it is a boring song, but it works every time. I love that poem and I love that book. All right, that was the end of that one. Let's move on to the next one. So I talked about traded in wife a couple of days ago. So she's just talking about what it's like to be traded in. So we have been talking about the fact that we don't see that many older trad wives. So traded in trad wife is saying, this is where we are. We have been traded in. So this is what she says. There's a current refrain asking, where are the 40 or 50-year-old trad wives? Well, we were traded in. How I got traded in. I could never understand when to use the right dishes and silverware. Grab yourselves a sweet treat and let's dig in. We all learn to use dishes and cups and mugs and glasses and bowls and cutlery and silverware and the whole mess as children. Somehow, I could never get it right with him. One of the first things I discovered about my ex's family was they were a formal Sunday roast kind of family. I came from a yogurt and granola bars before church and a huge splurge of a kind of family. What I did not understand was this was not dinner. This was performance. This was Norman Rockwell art come to life. This was religious service just as much as having your backside in the pew that morning. Dad came home from his traveling job, Mom in heels when he was home. I kid you not. All the kids around the table listening to Dad talk and preach and say whatever came to his mind. And that was the new gospel of the house for the week. I present to you the patriarchy in real time according to Mormon doctrine. Lest you miss any weight of the performance, this was all done around matching china, silverware that had to be hand polished, water, goblets, and many a burnt offering. While the performance didn't make sense to me, I totally dug the china set in silver. At the time, I was working for a spectacular hippie woman in a very artsy job, and she was a big believer of using the beautiful, precious things in her everyday life, not leaving them for special occasions. And I started to build that into my life too. I bought gorgeous notebooks and gasp, wrote notes in them, then gasp, tore out the pages, leaving them on my friends' windshields to make plans or say hello. I started to eye china at the thrift store because I was a 22-year-old Mormon girl. You have to have a wedding registry. I needed my own china set to have that Mormon Sunday dinner. That catch was, it was later made clear I could pick out the china and silver and crystal goblets, yet the decision as to when they would be used and how was not mine. This is where they get you. Normal things like a china set or sitting for a family meal, the meaning gets so regimented and embedded with power dynamics that the next thing you know, the thing you love to eat with tries to eat you alive. And then she tells us, carrot cake above is speckled because I got orange and purple carrots this week from the co-op. I'm going to be honest, this being the end of the story was kind of anticlimactic, but it just goes to show that yes, the women do have some decision-making skills, but ultimately it sounds like the men have to step in and then give their stamp of approval. Like, yes, you have to cook every single day, but it's going to be my decision when you get to use your good stuff. K.M. Lofton says, this is similar to what I experienced when I left my father's family. My stepmother had been preparing me for years, said I was to take over the house when she passed. Then she passed, and my family continued to treat me like I didn't know what the F I was talking about, refused to listen to me, acted like I was a worm beneath their feet. House is sitting empty. My father is worm food, poor worms, and my brother and sister-in-law can't make use of the house either because of back taxes. That is a hot mess. Let the people who know how to run the house run the house. No, you can't. Oh, because she doesn't have a peen. Oh, because she hasn't been, knighted or whatever you do. That is a hot mess. Oh, we got a good story. KS Girl in a Mo World. She says, I was a traded in Mormon wife too. I got lucky and was traded in when I was still in my 20s. I was too headstrong and he found his soulmate at work. I have the china set and crystal and scars. I went back to school, got 2 degrees and found a house husband, built a great career, bought a $500,000 home by myself, and I will retire before I'm 60. I think I won. Like the traded in trad wife says, way to go. And I absolutely agree. Way to go, Kansas girl in a Missouri world. Have you heard the lore of Jimothy that's going on over on Threads right now? It actually even made it over to CNN. So what or who is Jimothy? So this person named Jules reposted this whole screenshot right here saying lore from the original Jimothy caretakers on Instagram. I'm enjoying his history. So what is Jimothy or who is Jimothy? So this person, BW Trammell, says this. Not a post I thought I'd be making, but as so many are also so taken with him, I'll spread the lore from our perspective. Seattle's newest celebrity was born in our neighbor's cedars to a raccoon family that had lived there for years. We saw Jimothy, way better than the moniker than what we came up with, almost daily for months. The family used our backyard as a protected on or off ramp for their nightly outings. Right now, this person is talking about the raccoon family. He was so small and clumsy, but his mother and siblings were always so patient and caring, keeping him from falling and sometimes just carrying him. I eventually widened out the rat holes, a Seattle thing, under the fence so he wouldn't have to walk the parapet every night. I honestly never had high hopes for his longevity, but every time we saw him, it brought so much joy and a fair amount of amusement. Then, when the tenants in that house moved out, the landlord took out the lion's share of those cedars they called home. I heard the saws, then immediately saw the whole family scrambling in the daylight, sadly worried that that would be the last we saw of him until this spring when he scared the hell out of my Uber driver just a few blocks south of the house. The neighborhood group chat, me and the retirees, was so immensely relieved to know he was alive. He was alive and kicking so close by. With all the pain in our timelines right now, I'm really loving how connected so many people feel this funny little creature. Found a few videos of the day we first saw him. So that is B.W. Trammell talking about Jimothy. Told you CNN got involved. So their headline says, a raccoon that Seattle residents have named Jimothy is going viral for its unusually round appearance. And so here's kind of the outline while Jimothy is running. So you can see that right there. You can see him right here. So he's really round and he looks like he has really, really short legs and arms. And supposedly he is a local legend. Okay, so I'm going to end it there. There are tons of other things that we need to talk about over on Threads. However, I can't get to it right now. I'm still a little bit on vacation. So let me know, have you heard of Jimothy?
What am I looking at?